Durban studios by Penny Milner-Smythe. She's the Director of Ethical Ways. Thanks so much for your time, Penny. Now, a group of economists at the World Bank spoke about and researched state capture. Can you give us more insight into what it means and how it compares to other forms of corruption?
Of course. Thank you, Nzinga. The World Bank researchers, they were a team who did a great deal of research culminating in a paper in the year 2000, trying to understand the different forms of corruption. It's important for us to understand the different forms of corruption, from petty corruption to grand corruption, because they have different causes, consequences and costs. And so they came up with the concept of state capture. So the first thing of interest for South African audiences is that the concept was not created here.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there a type of country that's more susceptible to state capture than others, and what would this kind of country look like?
There is a view that countries in transition are more susceptible to state capture. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, being in transition doesn't make being captured inevitable, and no country is immune. I think that what we need to understand is that in comparison to what most viewers would understand as petty corruption, bribery at lower levels in government administration to get things done, what we talk about when we talk about state capture is a form of what is known as grand corruption. That is the payment of bribes at high levels in government in order to extract or plunder significant amounts of money from the state in question.
So part of that World Bank definition is that state capture occurs when the ruling elite and or powerful businessmen or women manipulate policy formation and influence the emerging rules of the game, including laws and economic regulations, to their own advantage. Is that the only way that we see state capture, or like other forms of corruption, are there different ways in which state capture can manifest? The way that we use state capture in South Africa, the way it's come to be used, is to cover actually two forms of grand corruption. The one being state capture, which is intervention, illegitimate intervention and capture of senior government officials to change the rules of the game, and then coupled with another element of grand corruption, which is the plunder of state assets and finances through intervention in procurement and the securing of procurement contracts. So traditionally in grand corruption, we distinguish between the concept of state capture, which is influencing the rules of the game, as well as the kickbacks and extortion practices that then complement it, that enable those in pursuit of the illegitimate game to reap the rewards from the system that they have been influencing. And what are the deterrents to people in positions of power to state capture?
There are a number of deterrents. Obviously, when a country has experienced a significant extent of state capture, it's no easy task moving towards a healthier state of affairs. But a number of the factors that can be helpful are firstly when a ruling party starts to fear the potential loss of its voters. The role of civil society is extremely important in countries where there has been a successful retraction from a deep state of capture. We see that civil society has played an active role. Transparency, which is now possible to a greater extent than ever before due to technology, is one of the solutions that can help us avoid future instances of state capture. It's an interesting matter to talk about because there's some progress being made in that field in other places around the world. Finally, we need those officials that are involved in a captured situation to be moved to come forward, to make full disclosure
and to help be part of the solution as opposed to continuing to be part of the problem.
Penny Milner-Smythe, thanks so much for your time. Director at Ethical Ways, speaking to us on state capture there from our Durban studios. It's time for a short